In today's video, we're going to be talking about 3 psychological reasons why women come back after separation.
And then we're going to follow up after we talk about those 3 things. We're going to give you a bonus. We're actually going to add a 4th thing to it. But what we're also going to talk about is if you've tried some of these things and it hasn't worked, what you can do next. So explain that, because this is what they need to hear.
So I was actually pissed. I was really mad at you.
Well, so where were you?
You just got to be coachable.
Guys, if you don't already know who I am, my name is Brandy Griffin, and we help men who are facing an unwanted divorce or a separation forever reattract your wife back even when she's not interested in saving the marriage or even working on it. If that's you and you are facing an unwanted divorce or a separation forever and you don't know what to do to restore the marriage, if you'd like to hear more and more from a woman's perspective, this is my wife Brandy, and she wanted a divorce when I wanted to save the marriage and she was not willing to work on it. So we're going to teach you over the course of these videos how I saved the marriage when she didn't want to work on it and we were physically separated and 2,000 miles apart. If you're a man and you have children together, you have assets, you have businesses, you're middle class, upper class, and you have a lot to lose financially, if you don't stop the divorce and you'd like to hear more from a woman's perspective, what she's thinking when she wants the divorce and I wanted to save it, do me a favor right now to let us know that. Subscribe to the channel, but don't just subscribe to the channel. Take the next step and also hit the bell notification and change the settings to all so that tells us that you want more videos with my wife included. Also press the like button. So let's go ahead and get started on the 3 steps. Step number 1 is utilizing the power of distance. So whenever we were separated, I was unhappy in the marriage. We had just been through something that was pretty tragic, and that was stage 4 throat cancer. And up until that point, our marriage was so on point and intimately connected that we actually were marriage counselors and running a marriage coaching business for couples. We helped with 100% success when we were working with couples. But fast forward a little bit into a tragedy hitting our home, which was stage 4 cancer. We still had our assets, but the cash that was in the bank, it was gone. It sucked it out. And so there were still assets that were accumulated together. You know, I had been a 6-figure a month earner prior to that. In our marriage, we actually had a physical distance. There was a physical separation of 2,002 miles. Whenever we were physically separated, I literally ran my wife off using the D word when we were still together. Now that we're back together and we're helping men save their marriage when they are in the shoes that I used to be in,
right,
and their wives are acting like you and thinking like you were,
yeah,
even though we were physically 2,002 miles exactly apart, would you agree with the fact that you didn't feel like we were 2,002 miles apart when we were going through this? I had pushed you away using the D word.
Yes.
You weren't even in a place where you were saying the D word.
No.
But we were both unhappy in our marriage, and I was the one throwing out the D word because I hoped it would get you to change so we could have a good marriage.
And instead I ran away.
So she finally started listening to me saying, I just want a divorce.
Get out.
And so she got on a fucking airplane and left my ass.
Yeah.
And so here I am 2 or 3 days later, sitting on an island all by myself in the middle of the Caribbean. She's back in the United States, north of Texas, in a little state we like to call Arkansas. And I started feeling the opposite of wanting a divorce. I never wanted that to begin with.
Total regret.
I wanted to save the marriage. I regretted it.
Yeah.
So after I ran her off, even though we were 2,002 miles apart, did you feel like I was distancing myself from you? Or did you feel like, so how does distance help somebody?
So when that happened initially, I felt freed. Because I just needed to get away from you because you were shoving me with both feet out of the door, and I just wanted to get away.
So what you're saying is that you feel like the pressure was gone,
yes,
to perform and to pacify,
yes,
me.
I literally felt the weight of the world off of me.
So put that in the comments if you think that's where you're at in your marriage right now, where your wife is out the door, you desperately want her back. Like if she only knew how much you loved her, if she only knew how you feel, you were using the D word, you shoved her out the door, and now all of a sudden you don't want a divorce. Like you would give your left nut if you could get her back. If she only knew your heart, how much you didn't mean that you just wanted more than anything, you wanted you guys to be together. Put that in the comments if that's where you're at. That'll give us some video ideas also. Like,
yes.
Give us examples of where you're at. But so here's the thing. You're 2,002 miles apart. Did you feel like we had distance between us? Or go back and think about in that moment how I started acting. And did you feel like there was distance, or did you feel smothered after you felt relief?
So I felt relief initially, and then I felt like you were smothering me.
Yep. So describe that. What are the men watching this video right now when this just happened to them?
Yeah.
Now it might have happened to you. Put in the comments, how long ago did this happen to you? Are you 7 days into this? Are you 7 months into this?
Right.
The two danger zones where we see women make catastrophic decisions are between weeks 5 and 7, and then again between months 5 and 7
Yes.
into a separation. It's not always the case, but weeks 5 to 7 are the danger zone, and months 5 to 7 are the danger zone, meaning in a physical separation, those are when we see that she'll have a catalyst to do something that can make things go from bad to extremely nightmare worse.
Right.
Okay, so if you're already past both of those points, or you're in the middle of those, that doesn't mean that you can't save the marriage, but that does mean that if you're before those cursors, it's so much easier to restore them. This is what I mean in the videos when I say time's only on your side if you put it there.
Yeah.
So what are these men doing that are making their wives feel smothered, which are making it way worse?
So what you do not want to do is create, do not be desperate. That's what you did to me at first. And I could not run quick enough from you.
Yeah, so why would a man do that?
Once I left.
When you left, I feared, I had
Yes.
extreme phobia
Yes.
around the distance.
Yes, and I wasn't feeling it. I felt like a freedom had come over me because I felt that. You were feeling, oh my gosh, she actually left. I've shoved her out the door and she's gone. So once I was gone, then I felt free. And then you came at me in desperation. No, that is the wrong thing to do.
So what are you men doing that's making you look desperate to her? And this is what we mean when I say in the videos. We both say in the videos.
Yes.
How many of you right now, put this in the comment, if you're aligning your actions right now with your feelings instead of aligning your actions with your goals. Put in the comment right now if you literally have a phobia of the distance, of giving her space.
Yeah, as difficult as it is, it's not attractive, and you're going to shove her even more out of the door. Seriously.
So let's talk about that. If a man is in those shoes, this is something I want to do different in this video. So by the way, I listened to your last comments, the last video that we did together. I wouldn't shut up. I was really passionate about the subject, but instead I overtalked her in the video. But in this video, I want to do something a little bit different. Let's tell these men, if that is them right now, what's something that they can do. So the first thing is stop being afraid to give her distance. So while we were in physical distance, how was I not giving you distance? How was I showing you that I was terrified of the fear, which made me look like a fucking psycho, honestly?
Constant calling, constant texting.
Yep.
And it created anxiety in me, and I would block you.
Yeah. So
literally.
So what could I have done to have triggered a little bit of desire, FOMO? When you left, you weren't feeling like you lost me. I was feeling like my life was over.
I was feeling like I need breath, I need air, please stop.
So what happened is I went from feeling the need or the necessity to say the D word because I thought it would trigger you to want to work on the marriage.
And it made me run.
It made you run. So now all of a sudden I'm feeling like one thing I did know is I didn't want our marriage to be the way that it was anymore.
Yes.
I mean, we lost our marriage.
You were just in a low point and you didn't know what to do.
We had, during our process, that led up to all this, we stopped having date nights. We stopped having sexual intimacy. So, and I literally lost my voice. And for anybody listening, people have heard part of this story before and you're like, oh, people are thinking like, well, did that bitch really leave you when you were like on your deathbed? No, what she did as a very, very good person, a good woman, and a good wife was she literally endured me acting like a fucking narcissist until I got back on my feet and she knew that I could completely take care of myself. Then when I was using the D word, then that's when she finally said,
I've had it.
Fuck it, I'm on an airplane. I'll give you exactly what you've been asking me for the last few months. Yeah. So for some of you, let me ask you this. Put this in the comments. One of the things that caused me to act like a dick was actually medication. I got on a medication that literally I would wake up in the morning and I would feel rage. Okay. And I said some very mean, hurtful things.
Terrible.
That in my whole fucking life, I have never said to anybody in my life.
Terrible.
But guess what? I could come back. So once I found that out, I got with the doctor, I got weaned off the medication, and the feelings of extreme rage up here, it was called gabapentin. You guys have heard me talk about that before.
Yeah.
It immediately dissolved as soon as I got off that medication. But listen, if that's you, maybe you have struggled with alcoholism or some kind of medication, or there was something that you were doing that was making you crazy. Guess what? That might be the truth. That was the truth for me.
Yeah.
But if you're holding on to the story that, okay, now I can go back and justify to her, this is why I called you a bitch. This is why I called you a bad person, or made you feel horrible, or belittled you, or talked mean to you, or demeaned you. Any of those things, guess what? Even though you might have a reason biologically, chemically, psychologically that you did that, it doesn't matter. So what you got to do is stop holding on to that story, because holding on to that story of why you did it, what does it do when they hold on to those stories?
So holding on to the stories and your excuses is literally going to cause strife. It's going to cause distance.
Yeah.
And you're not going to come clean with yourself as a person. You've got to get real with yourself.
Yeah, so let me paraphrase what she's saying in a way that'll really help this sink home. A lot of you are still holding on to those stories, and while they may be valid reasons,
they're excuses though.
As my grandchildren will remind you,
yes,
even the best fucking reason in the world is still just an excuse. And so it might be a valid reason, but guess what?
You gotta let go of it.
Even if you had a reason. So I had a valid reason.
Yeah.
And I actually showed you I had a valid reason.
Yes.
Did that go back and undo the damage and the way that I made you feel?
Not even a little bit.
So this is where you get to ask yourself what?
It was my truth.
Yeah.
What you did to me, and I was hurt.
So how many of you are holding on to stories about this is why I did it and she should understand? So you got to ask yourself this. Where else
is that showing up in all areas of your life, with your relationship with your children, your work relationships with your boss, everyone? So
you might have really good reasons, but they're still just an excuse.
You need to take a deep dive into looking at yourself and see it's going to show up in every area of your life, your behavior. So you need to look at yourself.
Yeah, just slow down and ask yourself that question. Where else are these kind of stories showing up in my life?
The excuses.
And here's the bigger question.
Yeah.
What is it costing you to do that? Put that in the comments if you see there's some kind of story that you've been holding on to and you think if she would just understand that it was the medication, that it was the alcoholism, it was the drugs, and even though you stopped
I had a terrible childhood and this is resurfacing.
Yeah, your childhood traumas.
You have to look at it.
Put in the comments if her childhood traumas or your child. Put in the comments if you think that you can't have a good marriage until all of that's dealt with. That's not true.
Nope.
One of the ways that you guys can come together and deal with those things, and quite frankly, when a marriage is resolved, 99% of that shit, PTSD, sometimes borderline personality disorder, those things can be dissolved on their own.
Yeah.
The very process that we take students through to restore their marriage can literally dissolve all of that. Put that in the comments if that's you. If you're holding on to that, your wife has been coached by a counselor that, she can't have the marriage restored.
And that is huge, huge, huge. I coach women also, and it is a very big issue that when a woman leaves her husband because she's had it, she goes see a counselor and a therapist, and then they literally tell her, oh, it's okay. Yeah. This is your truth. Get out of this, instead of helping her deal with the actual problems. Put
in the comments if your wife has a counselor and the counselor literally...
They're focused on the problem, not the end result of let's fix this. Yeah.
And by the way, Paul also put in the comments if that counselor just so happens to be billing your wife by the hour,
Yes.
even if your medical insurance is paying for that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so let's kind of go back to the step though. What happens if a man can align his? So look at our situation. I became in the feminine.
Yes. And it was so not attractive to me. It was gross.
I just wiped my nose. It was very masculine.
You're
I'm gonna
fine.
wipe it on my sleeve like a man, a real man.
It's fine. No, it was very unattractive to me, and I just couldn't stand it. I couldn't stand it at all. And I thought, oh,
What would it have done differently? That leads me to the next bullet here. How do I trigger desire? So in that moment, we were freshly separated.
Yeah.
How could I have triggered desire in you? Would that have been possible?
pull back.
So you mean even though we were 2,000 miles apart,
Yeah.
2002 to be exact,
Give me time to process what's happening in our relationship, even if it's negative, which it is at that point. Give me time to think and process, and actually, it creates curiosity for her to have the time to sit back and think about, well, what is he thinking? What is he doing?
so do you guys listen to this? How many of you out there, you're being taught by some idiot that's never even been married to do the no contact rule?
Oh my gosh, that's crazy.
Okay, so listen, there's something to it, but if you're doing this for a week and 2 weeks and 3 weeks and 3 months and 6 months, you can't
You're getting nowhere.
You can't
Yeah.
build intimacy and,
No.
and restore a marriage by doing no contact. So what we're telling you is there's psychological sense to that. So I put down here, how do we trigger desire in the brain with distance? Pulling back a little bit. Don't aggressively go act like you're fucking having a heart attack.
It will give her stress and anxiety, and she will not even be open to a conversation. That's where I was.
When I did that, did it make you feel again like I was putting you in a place where you were still responsible for my happiness?
Yes.
So how do you do the opposite of that? You back the fuck off a little bit,
Oh,
which is
yeah.
in itself is masculine.
Yes.
When I started coming on too strong, how many of you think if I would have met you and I was coming on strong like that when we first met,
Yeah.
what was really alluring to you when we first met, where I was probably different than any other guy that you were dating at the time?
You played it cool. You were not obnoxiously on me.
Was I
and
probably the most distant, unobnoxious man you had probably dated in a year?
Yeah.
100%.
You gave me like space to like breathe and think about, I wonder what he's up to.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I sure did. I literally sent her a message saying, I really like you. Don't let somebody else take you off the market because I'm so not ready to get serious right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. But no contact, nah. Not good either. You can't do that.
Okay, so how do we do a hybrid where we don't listen to this foolish bullshit about doing no contact?
Yeah.
Okay. By the way, if you're trying to save your marriage, doesn't it make sense to find somebody that's literally been in your shoes, that has taken their marriage where you want to take yours?
Like next level.
So here's the reason I say this. Put in the comments if you're in another program and the person teaching the program is teaching you that it's okay if it takes up to a couple of years to restore the marriage. How many of you have a lot of money on the line? You have your house together, you have the children's college fund.
It's the whole
you have
legacy of your entire
You
family.
have your 401k,
Yeah.
you have 3 business together, you have rental property, and if it takes 2 years to turn the train around, how many of you are going to be screwed royally financially?
Yeah.
And so put that in the comments if that's where you're at, because if you position it to allow yourself to get screwed financially, that in itself is an enemy of the marriage. Put that in the comments if that's you, if there's a lot of finances, because we'll do videos on that if that's you. Okay, so how do you do a hybrid? Let's get back on topic. How do you do a hybrid of staying in the masculine as a man?
Yeah.
The men that are watching this video right now, mostly entrepreneurs,
Yep.
mostly middle class or upper middle class, 6 and 7 digit earner. So people that have some wealth,
Correct.
where there's some assets to be divided in the case of a divorce,
Correct.
which makes, there's room for argument right there. We don't want to be Mr. Nice Guy with that. Doing no contact is foolish because you can't
Yeah.
build intimacy. So how do we do a hybrid of that where I back off in my masculine but still build intimacy?
By giving her the space that she has time to process, actually miss you,
Woo, I love it.
and think about where you guys used to be when you were truly in love. Mm-hmm. She has to have the space in her head so that you're not like coming on like smothering her. I had such anxiety from you smothering me when you did that for just a minute.
Yeah.
That I just literally, I felt like I needed to get on medicine, which I don't even do medicine, but I felt like I needed to go to a doctor.
You feel like you need a Xanax because I'm stressing you the fuck
to
out.
even deal with you.
So for some of you guys that are already aligning your actions with your goals and you are giving her what you believe is that necessary space, the great thing is toward the end of this video, we're going to talk about if you are doing some of this, that we're going to cover this in this video, but you're still not seeing the results, we're going to talk about what to do in that example,
Yes.
in that scenario. Because sometimes what we're giving you in this video, you might have already practiced these steps. Maybe you're dealing with confirmation bias and that these steps aren't enough. But for the rest of you, maybe this is all you need. So something else that you're telling me is I'm sitting here dwelling in separation. I'm literally feeling suicidal.
Yeah.
It was the lowest point I'd ever been in my whole life.
And I was depressed too at that point.
But it was different because what I was rehashing was I was hashing over all the good memories. I was scrolling through the slideshows that Apple and Facebook was nice enough to serve up.
He was sending me videos like you were just sad. You were sad.
I was missing you. I was at an all-time low. I was rehashing all the good times. So the marriage that I was using the D word when you walked out, I forgot about that marriage. Mm-hmm. And all I remembered was all of the good memories we had. Where were you at?
I was just in a resistant state still.
So because I was attacking her
But I was getting sad at that point too.
But what were you getting sad about? Were you getting sad about the same thing I was?
No.
So explain that, because this is what they need to hear.
Yeah, so I was sad about that. I felt like it was all for nothing, that, you didn't show me, that you didn't like act like you appreciated me to make me stay, and that it was like too little too late at that point. So I was actually pissed. I was really mad at you.
Well, so where were you? Were you sad or pissed?
Both. Women can feel both. It depended on the day.
Hit the nail on the head.
Yeah. And I would have a depressed day, but I tried to stay busy so that I wouldn't get sad. It was just a mixed emotion for me.
I never knew that's what you were sad about. I thought you were sad about this big old D. You knew you'd never get another one that big.
Stop it! Stop. Okay, too much.
Wasn't that, huh? So, do you hear what she's saying? How many of you right now, your wife is pissed the fuck off?
Yeah.
Because what's happening, if you really want to look at it, what is she pissed off about? Because she blames you for fucking up the life that she actually thought she was going to have.
Yes.
Because whose fault is it?
Yeah.
And then, how many of you, put this in the comments if you're sitting here thinking, but she could have it again. Like, everything she's wanted, I've changed. I've literally become the best man.
And you do have to become the better option.
How many of you have lost 40 pounds? How many of you got your shit together? How many of you have stopped drinking? How many of you have leveled up in your business and got it going up to 6 and 7 figures again?
Right.
How many of you, all of the stuff that she said she didn't like, how many of you have fixed all that, but it's made it worse?
It does. Because
Confirmation bias.
She's going to get really, really mad when you make these changes. It is perfectly normal and it is part of the process. But hang on to this.
So this is what we're going to talk about at the end. If that's where you're at, put that in the comments, number one, and we'll do a video on it. Tell us exactly what you've done and how it's backfired on you maybe.
Because it's definitely going to backfire on you for a minute.
If that's where you're at. So that's what makes what we do differently.
Yes.
All of these other people out there that are on YouTube that are teaching anything about marriage restoration, they're discounting confirmation bias. And how do you deal with that in a long-term relationship where you guys have accumulated assets together? Because that can actually activate confirmation bias like nothing else can.
Yeah.
And what's happening, what you're seeing, is you're making the changes, but you don't know what to do psychologically to cause her to change. And that's where we're really different in what we do in our free Marriage U-Turn Masterclass that we teach, but also in the DivorceStoppers program for men that are really dealing with confirmation bias that need to go next level. All right, so to wrap up the first step, I'm just to paraphrase that, don't do no contact.
No.
But give her the space
to breathe,
to see you acting like a masculine man instead of, what do you call it when somebody comes on too strong? Acting like a little
bitch.
Acting like a little bitch.
Sorry, I don't.
See there, she said a boo-boo word
I
too.
don't normally cuss, but I say do not act like a little bitch. It's not attractive.
A lot of times we get Christian viewers, and sometimes somebody will make the comment. I get a lot of hate from the Christian community, even though I'm a devout believer in it.
Yes,
it is
we
my
are.
reason for existence. It's her reason for existence. It's our cameraman's reason for existence.
We love the Lord.
But why do we do that? What does it mean in the scripture when it says, let no unwholesome talk come out of your mouth? Let me tell you what the fuck that means. Let me tell you what it means. It don't mean don't say the F word. It means don't say shit that is contrary to you having the life that you want, to having the marriage that you want.
Yeah.
How many of you right now, the stuff that's been coming out of your mouth is speaking death into your marriage? How many of you are putting a stumbling block for your wife and causing her to align her actions with her current feelings, which is running all of your lives? That's what that scripture means. It don't mean don't say fuck. I say fuck all the time in these videos to cut through the bullshit, because if you're standing for your marriage, or if you really believe you've just given it to God, the very saying of saying I've just gave my marriage to God is literally, I believe, what the Bible means when it says don't let unwholesome talk come out of your mouth, because what you're doing is you're using God as a crutch and you're putting the responsibility on Him. The Bible itself says to align your actions with your faith. Faith without works is dead. Well, how many of you are like, well, I'm doing everything I can to save the marriage? No, what you're doing is you're aligning your actions with your feelings, and you're pivoting into the feminine.
Yeah.
And it's causing her to respond in the feminine. Ask me how I know that, because you just heard her to describe, I was acting like a little bitch. I was aligning my actions with my feminine emotions, and it was causing her to respond in the masculine, which was... It literally pushed her to go file for a legal divorce.
It threw me over the edge, and I couldn't even stand to talk to you.
Which, by the way, you know something? We had
Till
somebody.
you backed off.
We had somebody that was considering being a student not too long ago, and I think he was trying to get the money from his mother. I don't really know.
Yes.
But she sent me an email, and she pulled up in Arkansas my divorce case for my first wife, and where you filed the divorce, and sent that to me like, you're whatever. And I'm like, that's the reason I do this fucking program.
That's why we're doing it. We're trying to help people.
Anyway, if you're the son and you're watching this, maybe one of the reasons that you're in a failed relationship is because your mama got fucking involved in your marriage.
Yeah, this was our pain point, and that's where we come in to help you guys.
Okay, so number 2, psychological reasons for distance work. So why does distance work? So we had a geographical distance of 2,002 miles.
Yes.
But what we didn't have was I didn't actually allow you any space while we were in the distance. So it was like you were next door and I was harassing you. Like if you were next door, she would have had grounds to get a restraining order because I was acting like a fucking psycho.
Literally.
I just miss my wife so bad, and I felt like I wanted to kill myself.
You were sending me flowers and like bombarding me with things like that.
Was that helping?
No.
Put that in the comments if you sent flowers and you think that works.
Don't.
Okay, so what happened was I was the trash that she rolled to the curb because I pushed her to that point.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. When she rolled this trash to the curb, she truly believed nobody else fucking wanted it. Didn't you?
I did, but I didn't care at that moment. I didn't care then.
Okay, so why do I say that? What makes somebody not care about, let's say if you had I don't know, what's a valuable something? Okay, I'm gonna use this example. You guys see that naked lady statue back here, right? Attractive Miami figure. We literally bought that in Miami, right? We lived in Miami. It's one of the things we brought from our penthouse in Brickell.
Yeah.
So imagine if we decided, I don't know, we live in the Caribbean and that motherfucker's getting a little bit of rust on it, and I'm trying to figure out how do we get the rust off of it. So do we take the time to try to restore that because we like to hear the ocean, so we open the door, right? And what if we threw that in the trash? So if we rolled the trash to the curb, I'm thinking, gosh, that thing was very expensive, and we both love that piece, right?
Yeah.
But if we finally got to a place where we're like, well, the rust, and we don't know how to restore it, and we threw it in the trash, we wouldn't feel like we're losing it when we got to the point that we rolled the trash to the curb, right? But what would make me second guess rolling that trash to the curb? If I rolled it out there and all my neighbors were looking at it like, damn, they're throwing that away?
Like, wow, maybe there's some value here, right?
So here's what I mean by that. Psychologically, this is what I'm talking about. People hate to lose something. And whenever she rolled the trash to the curb, she didn't feel like she was losing it because I kept screaming from the trash can.
Yeah.
If I would have just shut the fuck up, it might have made her think on the way back in the house to shut the door that maybe I should get that out of the trash and think about it before I actually let the trash company come and pick it up. Does that make sense? So this is how you do a hybrid of no contact, if you want to use it, even though I despise that fucking word, because it ruins marriages. If you're in a long-term marriage and you have assets together and you have children, doing no contact will pretty much ensure, if you don't stop doing it,
100%.
that you are going to get a fucking divorce.
100%.
Because look at the people that's teaching it. Are they wearing a wedding ring? Or is it some person with good intentions,
Sure,
but is a little bit of a dumbass that's never been married, but maybe they're teaching a program because, man, I don't know, maybe their dad and mom went through a divorce and their mom left their dad and it fucked up the dad's life. So now they have a heart to help other children in that situation. But then you look at those communities and hardly any of their marriages are being restored because it doesn't work. It works in dating. It works in dating.
in dating it does work.
Yeah, like in dating it does. But if you're not just dating someone, you're trying to
Well,
restore a long-term marriage.
It can work
it's-
in dating.
Well,
Yes.
no, if it's a new relationship, it always works.
New,
Ask me
yeah.
how I know. Because
Yeah,
I
yeah.
did that when I was immature freshman in college, majoring in psychology. I did that.
Yeah.
I had a girl, I thought, oh, I was so in love with her. Her name was Kim G. I'm not going to say her last name, but I was so in love with this girl. I thought I was in love with this girl. I had limerence. And she broke up with my ass, and I'm like, damn, bro. and guess what? Guess what? All I did was I just like acted like it didn't faze me and I backed off. Guess who brings me brownies in my dorm room 3 days later? Kim G.
So what we're saying here, and then
By the way, I've never even told you
And
about
then-
it.
and then
Kim
we'll
G
move
was a
on.
foot taller than me. Can you imagine that?
that's hilarious right
That is
there.
fucked up, right?
So, dude. So what we're saying is essentially is to back off. It creates curiosity, and we teach this in the program.
Yeah.
It's a huge point of what we teach.
So what you're doing right now, though, until you back off a little bit, if you're still coming on hot and heavy, if you've completely went no contact, it's not going to work.
No.
But if you're coming on too strong, you're not giving her the space to remember or think about that you are hers. You're her husband. You don't want her to go find a pressure relief valve outlet.
That's what I was just about to say. Yeah.
So look at your marriage like this. Right now, in all marriages, there is a pressure cooker. No, so for those of you in the United States, back in the South, I remember growing up, my mom would used to can stuff, and she would put these cans, like green beans and stuff, in a pressure cooker.
Yeah.
And that would seal the cans, okay? And there was this little valve on the top of it called the pressure relief valve. And when the thing was done, it would whistle like
Yes.
it was done or whatever, kind of
Yeah.
like a tea kettle, sort
Yeah,
of.
we had one too.
And so what's happening right now, if you want your marriage restored, you've got to become the pressure relief valve. But what you're doing instead is you're the fucking pressure cooker. So for a lot of you, if your wife or your long-term relationship lover, she has a boyfriend, he's the pressure relief valve and you're the pressure cooker.
And be careful.
You got to reverse those roles.
Yes.
When you become the pressure relief valve, the boyfriend, the limerent affair partner, her, whatever you want to call it, emotional affair partner,
Yeah.
physical affair partner.
Yes.
A lot of you think that, oh my God, that's the reason my marriage failed. No, that's just the fruit of a failed marriage. We can actually use that asshole.
It's her outlet for a moment.
When you learn how to become the pressure relief valve, which we teach that, I'm going to get you, the end of the video, we're going to give you a next level help with that, with the free marriage U-turn masterclass.
Yeah.
We'll give you the QR code on the website to do that here in a minute. But if you can become the pressure relief valve, you'll position a limerent affair partner, emotional affair partner, a physical affair partner, the boyfriend. You will make him become the pressure cooker.
Yes.
He'll start putting pressure on her. Well, how do you do that? Through communication. And that's what we teach in the marriage, the free marriage U-turn masterclass. And we'll give you the website for that at the end of the video.
Yes.
Okay, so step number 2 is understanding cognitive dissonance. With cognitive dissonance, if you give her the space to process, if you give her the freedom to miss the trash that she's taking out to the curb, if you'll back off just a little bit, especially in the early phases, she may actually feel the loss. I didn't give you space to even miss me.
No.
Put that in the comments if you know you fucked up and you're not even giving her the space to miss you. So what you were struggling with is you felt like you were ready to just move past the marriage because you literally filed a legal divorce.
Yeah.
But was there anything in you in those moments where I wasn't constantly harassing you that maybe you were missing me a little bit? Maybe you were looking at some pictures of me. Maybe you were thinking about me. Were there any points in our separation that you were thinking about me or missing me? Not so much your life that we had together, but me personally.
Yes, once you backed off, I missed our friendship. You were my best friend.
Yeah.
And when you backed off and you weren't smothering me,
Yeah.
I thought about you more. And then I would call you. And I never even thought I would do that. And I'd call you.
So what we did, what you're describing too,
Yeah.
is I started the process as I learned how to back off a little bit. I started the process of dissolving confirmation bias. Now, for any of you that's been watching these videos long enough, you do know that confirmation bias, if you just start making some wins and dissolving that, and you start seeing her walk your way a little bit, if she actually has confirmation bias and it's been activated long enough that it's become biological,
Yeah.
you'll never fully restore your marriages. You'll end up in a divorce even if you do everything right for 3 weeks, because what I always say, time is only on your side if you put it there.
Yes.
But for her in these moments, it's not about all the things that you do right. If she has active confirmation bias, and we'll talk about that more in the Free Marriage U-Turn Masterclass, we're going to give you the website. But if she has active confirmation bias, her brain is literally hard. I don't know why in this studio I'm allergic to something. Every time we record, my nose itches the fuck off. But anyway, if confirmation bias has been activated and you don't take the steps to dissolve that, psychologically, the amount of time that it takes to completely eliminate it, which is 7 full weeks.
Right.
And if you don't know how to land that plane in the correct field for 7 full weeks, because while that's still active, she will literally be in this moment. It's not about everything that you do right. It's about the one thing that you fuck up, and you can go everything right for 6 weeks.
But screw up one thing.
You fuck it up one
Yeah.
time before you reach the promised land at the end of the 7 weeks. Divorce back on like Donkey Kong, moving toward permanent
Because
separation.
she's looking for anything to blame.
And when you were going through that, even as much as we study, like I'm an expert on the brain, I've been studying it for 35 years. You have been studying it for about, like 10,
Yeah.
so less than me.
Yeah.
But you even had an understanding of confirmation bias
Yes.
to a limited degree, not on the level that we do now.
Sure.
Since we pivoted and made this program for men who are facing unwanted divorce or separation.
100%.
But when you were actually experiencing confirmation bias, at that time, we both didn't understand it on the level that we do
Not
now.
fully, no.
Did you really even process that that's what you were experiencing?
No.
Nah, because it's not normal to understand it.
No.
Okay. And what's crazy, as much as I know about the brain, I didn't catch on to it. Because you don't know what you don't know.
You don't know what you don't know, period.
And even though I knew what that was, I didn't realize it's what I was dealing with until I literally hired a coach
Yeah.
that helped me see that.
Yeah.
I literally was the first student in the version of the program that we're doing today.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. You did it. You lived it. We both did.
So that leads me to scarcity.
Yes. Oh my.
So let's talk about scarcity just a little bit.
Yeah.
So what is the definition of scarcity? Show your rock.
This?
Yeah. So why is that scarcity? Why are diamonds so freaking expensive, especially if they're a skating rink? Put in the comments if your wife has a skating rink, she's not wearing it anymore, but you wish she was. So what is the definition of scarcity in itself? It's what makes something scarce.
Just the fear of the unknown.
Something rare becomes more valuable.
Yeah.
So when a man doesn't do no contact, but he makes his presence a little bit more scarce, the rarity of your time
Yeah.
can make you more valuable in her eyes.
You are more valuable and you become the best option in her eyes if you pull back and she has that scarcity in her.
Yeah.
But she can't have that if you're smothering her.
100%.
Yeah.
So you need to disappear a little bit because that makes you in some cases, a little bit more irresistible.
It's attractive. I mean, you hate to say it like that, but it is.
That's why if you were a freshman in college, which I don't want you if that's you, okay? Don't give us a call if that's you. But that's why no contact works in dating.
Yes.
So we're doing a hybrid of it. You've got to make her feel seen. If you're in a long-term relationship that's failed and you have assets and you have children together, you've got to, number one, start communicating the right way. What is the right way? Speak life into the relationship by making her feel heard,
valued,
and
seen.
seen. So if you don't know how to communicate, you've got to learn that. Which, by the way, in the DivorceStoppers program,
that's what we teach. Yes.
It's literally step 1.1 or 1.2 in the program.
Yeah.
And we start in our free marriage U-turn masterclass. How you can start having some wins right now for that.
It's so important, y'all. So important.
But what that's going to do
Game changer the first week.
Yeah. So here are some things that you can also do. Focus on your goals.
Yes.
Increasing your spice, your spiritual, your physical, your intellectual, your character, and your what? Holy fuck.
I just had a glitch.
The emotional attractiveness. Shit.
Okay, we need to redo that part.
We're not going to redo that part.
Okay.
We're going to include it. Okay. Ty, don't even cut this shit out. We're about as real as you can fucking get. I think that's why we converse so well, because I'm just cutting through the bullshit here. Denver, why are you so crass and cutting through the bullshit? Because I'm so fucking tired of seeing people do other things that, especially when they're enrolling in something that is not actually, it's helping you feel good about yourself, but is it restoring your fucking marriage? And wasn't that a point of it?
Yeah.
50% of our students come from other programs. The other programs
least.
it's 47.6%
Yeah,
the last time we
it's a
looked.
lot.
The other programs, I get so many people that say, well, I can't say anything bad about the program because it took you from being suicidal to feeling good about yourself. But this is what I say.
But is it actually restoring your marriage?
So we help students immediately feel good about themselves, but we don't do it by making your biceps bigger. We don't do it by making your dick bigger. We do it by immediately turning that train around that's heading to divorce. And how do you do that? Step 1.1 and 1.2, communication.
Yeah.
Right now, the only reason you haven't turned the train around, I didn't say fully restore the marriage, I said turn the train around. Put in the comments if you're in a program and it's making you feel good, you're not depressed anymore, you had lost 40 pounds before you joined it.
You're feeling good.
But the marriage is not working.
You're looking good.
The marriage
You're
is not,
feeling
the
good.
marriage, it's making it worse. She's resenting your changes. Put that in the comments.
And let me just say too, that is a whole thing. The resentment, it's part of the process.
Okay, so
but what we teach works.
So here's what you do need to be doing. Let me sum up all the other programs out there in short, from start to finish. Get in the gym. It is going to help you if your biceps are bigger. Pick a hobby. How many of you stopped having any guy friends? That is something that contributed to the failure of your marriage. If you gave up all your guy friends and you put the responsibility for your happiness 100% on your wife's shoulder, put that in the comments. So one thing you can do right away, go freaking make some friends. Well, Denver, I don't need friends. If you want your marriage restored, you better get some fucking friends.
It's attractive.
It's attractive.
If you're all needy on her, no.
Okay, something else is get your ass on social media. Well, I don't do Facebook, Denver. If you don't have a Facebook account, please don't even register for the free marriage U-turn masterclass. You can use, what's another thing I call Facebook? Ass book, because Facebook in itself destroys marriages. And maybe that's why you hate Facebook. I don't care.
Yeah.
You can use Facebook to restore your marriage.
Yes.
Get off your ass, get off the fucking couch, stop eating Cheetos, get in the gym, and start posting your life.
Live.
I am happy, I am happy, I am happy. See this right here? That can restore your marriage. If you're sitting there on the couch and you fucking feeling suicidal, who wants to come back to that shit? But if you've done the other programs and now your biceps are bigger, you're off the couch, you got a guy friend, but it's backfiring, it's because you don't know how to communicate.
Yeah.
And that's what we actually teach in the Free Marriage U-Turn Masterclass and the DivorceStoppers program. But put that in the comments if that's you. So focus on your goals. What do you want? Stop focusing on what you don't want.
Yes.
Stop focusing on how many of you are still blabbing about your wife wants a divorce and what it's doing to you and the kids. Stop doing that. Put that in the comments if that's you. Stop doing that right away.
Quit feeling sorry for
Get in the
yourself.
gym, get some guy friends, pick up on some hobbies, and start posting your wins about you living your life, and you've got yourself happy on social media, but also realize that that's not enough. You've got to actually start building intimacy through communication. Now, that's a whole program.
Yeah.
You're not going to learn that on YouTube with anybody.
No.
It takes us 7 weeks to actually teach that.
Yeah.
If that's something that you need. Okay. So guys, let me ask you a question. If any of the things that we talked about so far, are you struggling with those things? Put specifically what's working, but more importantly for you, what's not working. What have you done that's backfired that you need us specifically to do a video on to give us, and what we'll do is if we get the same comment, like in the same realm, from at least like 10 or 15 guys, our next video, we'll do it together. Put in the comments if you like her input in these videos. I'd like to have feedback. Encourage her to come do more of these videos with me by putting in the comments that you'd like to hear more of what she was like. If you kind of want some insight onto what your wife's thinking.
Woman's perspective. I enjoy it. So.
Yeah, tell her in my comments, what do you need her to talk about in our next video, and we'll do a video on that. Okay, so part number 3. In part number 3, you heard me say we were 2,002 miles apart, but I wasn't giving her distance even though we were oceans apart, right?
Yeah.
So how do you actually do distance correctly? Okay.
So don't chase.
Okay.
Don't stay idle.
And level your shit up.
And level the heck up.
So what are we talking about with level up and communication?
Listen.
Let me ask you-
Be a good listener for her.
Oh.
And that's where you fall short. We want to just spew and vomit on her. Listen. She will feel heard, valued, and seen if you'll listen.
So put this in the comments. If right now your wife won't even take a phone call from you, and you're like, well, I don't know how to listen because she won't even talk to me on the phone. Well, will she still text you?
Let the conversation be about her. How was your day? Even if it's just that one little question.
Put this in the comments. If right now your wife will only communicate with you about the finances or the kids, and you think that you can't restore your marriage just talking about those two things.
You can.
Every single week, we have marriage after marriage after marriage where that train that's going to divorce, we put the brakes on, we
Yeah.
stick it in reverse, and we start full-fledged going back to restoration. And we do that simply via text message, and we do that talking about the kids. Well, how do we do that? Put in the comments if your wife sends you a text message and you immediately go like, oh my God, she fucking texted me, and you immediately respond.
And
Is that gonna make her feel, if when you were texting me and I immediately was on it like white on rice, did I ever made you feel heard by just responding right away?
no. And if you also, when you did respond, if you made it about you or
made it about me.
or your feelings.
That's why I responded right away.
Because
it was about me and what I
Right.
wanted.
Let her have her feelings and just put no pressure on her.
So how do you make her feel heard right there? How do you distance correctly? And so we will give you a little mini text communication. If your wife sends you a text message, read the fucking message. Ask yourself, is there any way with her sending me a text about the kids, can I respond in a way that makes it about her, that makes her feel heard,
Y'all, this is key.
that makes her feel seen,
Yeah.
and that makes her feel valued? Now, Denver, why are you saying that's only in the program? Well, I just gave you a nugget here, but the reason that we teach that, step 1, we talk about this in the free Marriage U-Turn Masterclass,
Yeah.
that you can all go register for at the end of the video.
Yes.
We're going to give you the site to do that. But the reason I think so many people, if they're dealing with confirmation bias, you need more than a masterclass a lot of times. If you're
Yes.
actively dealing with confirmation bias,
100%, yeah.
we need to teach this over 7 weeks because that's how long it takes to get rid of confirmation
It's all
bias.
a part of the process.
But how can you start doing that right away? Ask yourself, am I just responding in a way that makes it about me and my feelings? Or even am I responding in a way that makes it about the kids?
Yeah.
Or am I responding in a way that makes it about what she's saying, how she's feeling? You can take the most minute messages about talking about a bill, talking about something she got in the mail,
And
talking about the divorce.
You can make her feel safe by your response.
Emotional safety.
Because if she feels threatened by what you're going to say,
Yep.
it scares the shit out of her. Excuse me for cussing. I don't ever. But
You do too. It's such a liar. You do too.
No. Emotional safety and in staying calm and connected is key to all of this, whether you're on the phone or it's a text message.
And you also need
We're
to...
in person.
So something else too. Eventually, when I hired a coach that helped me understand what confirmation bias was, one of the first things that he coached me on,
Yes.
which by the way, my coach was 98 years old.
Yeah.
I was his last client ever. He kept telling me, he knew that you and I used to restore marriages as couples counseling, and he kept saying, I'm passing on the torch. And I'm like, what the fuck does that mean? Until the day you and I got back together, I actually called his office to say thank you so much for that next level that you helped me with, how to understand confirmation bias on a whole new level. I actually called him to let him know that our marriage was restored, and his wife answered the phone and said he passed away last night. I truly think that was anointed by God, that he was alive long enough to actually take me on as a client when he wasn't even taking on a client.
Well,
I didn't even know he was on his deathbed.
It taught us, yeah.
But what you do whenever you back off and say, I'm going to be slower to respond. And you know some of the advice that he gave me, which I already knew this, but he reminded me of this when I had a coach. Some of you, your marriage is never going to be restored. A lot of you right now, literally watching this video, you're at a crossroads. If you step back and you're delusional, like I was. I literally was delusional for a minute, where I literally thought one day I'm going to wake up. I thought I was going to be driving down. I've said this in like 4 of my videos. I thought I was going to be driving down the freeway, and that a magical unicorn was going to cross the road. I was going to hit it. It was going to absorb in my car, and I was going to wake up the next day, and the nightmare was just going to magically go away. Some of you are at a crossroads right now. If you keep believing that after you watch this video, and I'm telling you, it is never going to fucking happen. There is no magical unicorn, and if you keep going down the road that you're on right now, you are going to lose her forever. You're going to, because you're running out of time. You're running out of time. In my first marriage and in your first marriage, we both almost saved those marriages. We were both in unwanted divorces.
Yeah.
And we didn't know what to do. And we literally ran out of time.
Yes.
And I almost did that with you. I almost ran out of time.
Yes.
And he basically told me to wake the fuck up and to realize that if I didn't take a left turn, that I was going to end up where I didn't want to end up.
Well, because
So
the fact of the matter is if what you're doing isn't working, you have to shift. You have to pivot out of that.
Let me tell you something that can help your intimacy right away. Right now, she knows you're fucking miserable and you're not going to be happy unless the marriage is restored. Try this. Try getting yourself happy while the marriage is heading for divorce.
It's contagious. I mean, she'll go, oh my gosh.
I've never seen a woman divorce a truly, authentically happy man.
It's the shift that you can make happen with this course is
Denver, I can't get happy.
transformational.
Yes, you can. Yes, you can. Do this. I'm happy. I am happy. I am happy. I'm happy. I'm happy. I'm happy. All of a sudden, I held that smile. I used to teach call center agents to sell over the phone. And I literally had some mirrors printed up that said, it was right in front of them on the phone, and it said...
So they could see themselves when they were on the phone with clients.
For 20-something years, I taught the psychology of selling, how the human brain works on sales, and I put these little mirrors in front of my in front of the salespeople that I would train, and it literally said on the mirror, "Let them hear you smile." So as they're on the phone,
It was like our motto for our agents.
you got it. As they're on the phone setting appointment or even doing sales calls, they literally would see themselves in the mirror, and I had a smiley face on there that said, "Let them hear you smile." As soon as we put those mirrors in front of these agents, we had a 41% increase in sales.
It changes your whole demeanor because you have to look at yourself.
100%.
Literally.
So let your wife hear you smile. Right now, she thinks she's responsible for your happiness.
Yes.
If you make that not true anymore, well, how do you make it not true? Get yourself happy.
Yeah.
And that'll start making her feel safe. And that's masculine.
Oh,
no
yes.
woman wants to come
It's
back to a
sexy,
miserable...
It's safe. It's a safe place.
By the way, something I tell all my students, get some fucking Crest White strips. If you hadn't already done that, go get them. Okay, so guys, I told you we're going to have a bonus step in this video. What happens if you've done these things, but it doesn't work? It's not working. It's backfired. It means she has confirmation bias.
Yes.
Okay. If you've done these things, she truly is in a place right now where she thinks that she's got an emotional divorce, There's two different types of divorce. There's legal divorce and there's emotional divorce. A woman a lot of times thinks she's been emotionally divorced from you, but that typically doesn't happen for 2 years.
Yeah.
So what do I mean by that? I help students all the time that have already got a legal divorce, and we restore the emotional marriage. Well, put this in the comments. Are you more concerned about the piece of paper? Are you more concerned about living with your soulmate? Now, our goal is always to have both.
Yes.
And if we get you in time, we can typically stop the paper divorce as we're stopping the emotional divorce. That's why I say time is only on your side if you put it there, but you better put it there.
Right.
Okay, guys, so step number 4. So the fourth thing is this. Stop being delusional. If your marriage is heading toward divorce, if you don't do something radically different, you're going to run out of time. You're going to lose the woman forever. So if you're in a place right now where you've done some of these things or even all these things and it's still not working, this is where you get an opportunity to put time on your side. So what is that? If you're doing these things and it's not working, you're 100% dealing with confirmation bias. And what you need is you need to actually understand how do you make her feel heard, valued, and seen next level, even if you're...
With no pressure. It's key.
100% with no pressure, like what we've talked about in this video.
Yes.
But you've got to dissolve confirmation bias. So if you're watching the video at this point, you're like, I've tried these things and it's not working. It's because you're dealing with confirmation bias. I learned about this when I majored in psychology in school. It was called cognitive bias, but I like to call it what it really is. It's confirmation bias. When confirmation bias has been activated long enough, it literally can become biological. The way that you dissolve that is through communication. And if you're not seeing those wins in the communication right now, that's causing the train that's going to divorce to stop, to pivot, to put it in a return where you're going back to restoration and she's still out of the marriage even though you want to save it, you're simply dealing with confirmation bias. And you can turn that train around really quickly by understanding what is confirmation bias, and the way that you start dissolving it is through the right kind of communication. And if you're like, well, Denver, right now she don't want to talk to me. The only thing that we're talking about right now is just the bills, or we're talking about the divorce case, or the separating of the assets,
or the kids stuff.
Or we're only talking about the kids.
Who's picking who up from
guess
daycare,
what?
whatever.
We 100% can turn your marriage around. I didn't say restore fully, but the train that's heading to divorce land where you're running out of time,
can turn it around quick.
we 100% can put the brakes on it and head it back to restoration literally in 7 to 10 days. And how do we do that? We do that through teaching you how to communicate with her. And you can take the first step in that right now by registering for our free marriage U-turn masterclass at DenverGriffin.com. My video editor is going to put the QR code up right now where you can scan that if you're on your Roku TV or you're on your laptop watching this. You can scan it on your phone and register in 2 seconds. By the way, the seats fill up fast for that because I'm going to give you 2 things at the end that you can do here. So right now, pause this video, go to the website or scan the QR code and register for a seat for the free Marriage U-Turn Masterclass right away. And after you get through that free Marriage U-Turn Masterclass, if you feel like you need expert level help, we actually have a high ticket coaching program called DivorceStoppers with the goal to stop legal and emotional divorce. If you've already got a legal divorce, it doesn't matter. We can stop the emotional divorce. We can help you guys get remarried as long as she's not remarried to another man. I don't care if she's already living with her boyfriend and your only communication is about the kids.
Yeah.
You can stop the train, turn it around. You can pivot the boyfriend so that he's the pressure cooker as we teach you how to speak via text in the beginning and then verbally next so that he becomes the pressure cooker and you're
the best option.
You're the pressure relief. For some of you, there's not a boyfriend, but there's an enemy of the marriage. It's a new friend that she's got, a hoochie mama that was a miserable
parent. It could be her mom.
It could be her mom. It could be
best friend.
It could be a miserable woman that she's kindled a friendship with that's had failed relationship after failed relationship. Misery loves misery.
Misery loves company.
And that bitch is latched onto your wife and helping her ruin her life along with yours and the kids. And it's a very real thing. Now, the woman that I just referred to, that bitch, because I'm saying that because she's an enemy of the marriage. That woman could actually have a really, really beautiful heart.
Yeah.
But guess what? She's a broken woman. I can teach you how to build intimacy with your wife. We can teach you how to end confirmation bias through communication so that once your marriage is restored, then your wife is positioned to help that woman that's enabling her to run her life,
And
just like we did yours.
And it works.
Because we did it ourselves. The enemy of our marriage, which is one of your great friends.
And still is to this day.
I thought she was a nasty person because she was contributing to our marriage ending. And then once I learned how to build intimacy through communication with you and our marriage is restored, you actually led her back to actually going into a successful relationship for the first time in her fucking life, and she's 50 years old.
Yes.
And what I did is I learned to see my wife in a way through communication and build intimacy that I started finding beauty in that enemy of the marriage in her as a person. I'm not talking about like I was sexually attracted to her. She's a beautiful woman. You guys actually look a lot alike, but she's actually probably one of the most beautiful hearted women in the world, but I couldn't see that about her because she was a hurt person and she latched onto you because she loved you and she was trying to help you. What she was really doing was enabling you to exit a marriage, which would have actually ruined your life. It would have ruined my life. It would have ruined our kids' life, and it would have even affected our grandkids' life. So register for the free Marriage U-Turn Masterclass right now. Number one, pause the video, and the next thing that you can do right now to cause your wife to start feeling the loss that you're feeling, that she's not feeling at all right now, my video editor is going to put up a video at the end of this. Watch that video next after you register for the free Marriage U-Turn Masterclass, denvergriffin.com/masterclass. Register for that today before the seats fill up. By the way, if you register for the free Marriage U-Turn Masterclass and you know that you need more help, we will give you a link to book a call with us. If you go to that calendar and you do apply to work with us in the paid version of the program, do not expect my enrollment coaches to have 50 years of age on them and to have the same level of expertise. Their only job on those application calls is to determine, do they think you're a good fit for the program?
Right.
They are not going to try to sell the program, by the way.
And they're not going to coach you.
And they might make the mistake and try to actually fucking sell it. But if they do, see past that because I've specifically give them instructions not to do that. Their only goal is to determine if you're a good fit, if so, to help you with the enrollment process. That's it. If you haven't already done so, press the subscribe button and change the little bell notification to all so you don't miss the next video that we do together to help you save your marriage and have the life that you want to have.